Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Movie Club, the show where your favorite nerds talk about movies. Devin is getting jiggy just outside of the studio right now, the virtual studio, not this studio. He's still at school currently. However, we're going to bring him on in here. Hello there, Devin.
Ooh, I feel so good to be in the room. We're going to bring you guys a nice review of Creed today.
Yes, I freaking loved this movie so much.
This movie was a good watch.
Really good watch.
Good film. What you got going on back there?
The second show this week where I forgot to turn on the lightsaber stand. That's all. Spent $30 on that stand just to have it not light up when it's supposed to. You know, me things.
Props for technicalities, anyways.
Yeah, right. No, this is one hell of a watch. This is a movie I've not seen before. I've seen clips, I've seen bits and pieces. I knew I was going into a good movie. Mm-hmm. I did not realize how entertaining of a movie I was going into.
Just, it's such a good time. Like,
it is.
Establishing the basics. Like, we know Michael B. Jordan is a charismatic, just like camera magnet. You know he's going to do a good job, and he does. Like, I would 100% just believe in his character. And then you got Stallone back. You got like this whole world that's just been built and continually built of like Creed and Rocky and all these different fighting elements. And like, what a revival story of like not a genre, I guess just like a world of movies that they were just like, you know, Hollywood's like, oh, we're just going to bring back something we already did. But like they did it this time and I feel like it really worked. Like obviously the sales warranted a sequel and like this movie was a success. That's kind of like generally known, I feel like. But whenever you sit down and actually watch the thing and you like break it down, you see characters interact, you understand motives and objectives, and then you get to watch the fights. It's just like
those fights. My God.
Oh my God.
That was the best choreographed fighting I've ever seen in my life.
Ryan, Mr. Coogler.
I don't want to say that I'm a Rocky fan because I feel like I'm like claiming false fandom valor. You know, like
I feel that. I haven't seen the Rocky movie since I was probably like 5.
I go out of my way to watch Rocky 4 if I know it's on because Rocky punching communism out of Russia is just hilarious. Also, I just love Ivan Drago. Just, you know, I must break you. That shit, love it. And the fact that, you know, I think an argument can be made, a very sound one, that Rocky 4 is the goofiest Rocky. Between punching communism out of Russia and, you know, Rocky's robot butler and the way he trains in Russia and like within 2 days is somehow superhuman enough to fight Ivan Drago and all of that stuff. It's kind of the goofiest one, but that's why it's my favorite, is because it's silly.
Mm-hmm.
You take all of that. The events of Rocky 4 build the backbone for this like Creed spin-off franchise. Like the whole point is that Adonis never knew his dad because his dad dies fighting communism. So like the fact that it's like the movie can't happen without the events of Rocky 4, I think is one of the funniest things about it. Like they could have just been, how do I put this? They could have done what a lot of these rebooted like older franchises have done, where they go past a certain point, we don't treat certain movies as canon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the Halloween movies going 1 and 2 are canon. You know, forget
it. Yep.
silly shit like that, because they're like, we need to eliminate some of these like really weird entries so that this new one makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have just said Apollo isn't around anymore. Allude to him dying in the ring, but don't say, don't make it very clear that he died fighting somebody everybody knew he shouldn't have been, which is clearly Drago.
Mm-hmm.
And, I haven't seen the sequel. I know he's fighting Ivan Drago's kid. So like the franchise continues to lean on Rocky fucking 4. Which is just I cannot wait to review Creed 2. Like, we're doing Creed 2 at some, just because at this point I need to see what happens in the second.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember the trailer with that really good like trailer music version of Kendrick Lamar's DNA.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can't see it. It says right here, what happens on Earth stays on Earth. I'm a little bit of a Kendrick Lamar stan. So I need to see that movie just because Kenny's in the trailer. But they could have just pretended Rocky 4 didn't exist. But instead, this whole movie is built on the back of it. And they embrace I love the internal legend of Rocky Balboa that is so integral to the movie's story. There's a very specific type, I don't want to say trope, but I kind of refer to it as the reverse hero's journey of stories that we've gotten in recent time of heroes that we know and love kind of having to like find their special sauce again, remember what it means to be the hero that they are. A Logan comes to mind, the Last
Luke.
Jedi.
Yep.
Luke in the Last Jedi. That kind of story of like, hey, asshole, like, you're a legend for a reason. You're going to need to do that again. And it's the old guard teaching the new guard how to kick ass the way they did. Peter B. Parker and Spider-Verse with Miles Morales. That old guard who feels like they lost it, and new guard who has the stuff to be the next generation's ass kicker.
Mm-hmm.
I live for that. I live for that type of story. I live to see a legacy not just continued, but a legacy expanded upon. And I was not expecting Creed to lean into that kind of story so hard. I really wasn't. I knew that the element of Adonis being trained by Rocky and the whole concept of Rocky and Apollo's secret fight.
Yeah.
That specific element bled, like my love of that element in particular bled into every single second of the movie and my enjoyment of it.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that narrative of like the reverse hero's journey, we'll continue to call it, is like, it feels so warranted throughout the movie, just because you see the toll that Rocky's wife's death has taken on him. We find out he has little to no relationship with his son. He's alone. He hasn't boxed in like however many years it's been. He hasn't even thought about boxing. He hasn't even entered the gym where it's his memorabilia everywhere. Like, he hasn't even, like, he just doesn't want to do it. He left that life behind. And then he feels this sort of sense of responsibility, maybe, or just an urge to help Adonis, because he is Creed's son. A very close, good friend to Rocky, a very good competitor, someone he respected, and probably someone he looked up to. And I don't know, those layered and stacked on top of each other worked a lot for me in terms of how Rocky and Michael B. Jordan interact with each other up until, I'd say, like, the third act begins. Like, everything that was laid out for us, and that we find out things along the way. Like, we find out, like, when Rocky says that line in, like, the third act about, like, now giving up everything to spend one more day with my wife, that I would do, compared to the situation at hand and things like that. And it just makes me appreciate like a Hollywood movie like this with the reverse hero's journey. And it makes it work so much more for me because Michael B. Jordan kills it. Like his motivations feel justified. Not wanting to take on the name Creed because he's not his father. He wants to be his own person. All right. Not wanting to take on the name Creed because of the expectation that comes with it, because he'll be a disappointment. That's where the money is for me. That other revelation of like, it's not just, oh, I just didn't want to tell you because people treat me different or blah, blah, blah. Like if he fights under the name Creed and he loses, then like, what is he left after that?
False creed.
False creed. It's just that reveal of like, I guess that more hidden motive behind what like his facade motive made it work more for me. Made it feel deeper and more of like a complex storyline that ends up making me appreciate the movie more, on top of like the great supporting characters that we have, like his mother.
Yes.
Like saving him from like the juvenile detention facility, telling him like, please don't go for this life. Like I had to wipe your father's ass because he just physically could not. He would just take so many beatings. Like, I don't want this life for you. I don't think he would want this life for you.
I remember your visceral reaction doing the audio commentary to that line.
It's just
like he couldn't use his hands. I had to wipe his ass for him. Like, it's so good.
It's so good. And like, I just spent 30 seconds talking about a moment that happened in the movie for 10 seconds. And it's just like, the little things are important. I think that's something Ryan Coogler understands. And I think that's something that a lot of the actors he's worked with understands. So, and then you have Tessa Thompson. How did you feel about Tessa Thompson in this movie?
I think she turned in a great performance. I think that the end of the second act going into the third act, Spaghetti-O, he freaks out while she's doing a gig and like mollywops that jackass rapper, who part of me feels like that was an actual rapper, and then part of me feels like I'm hallucinating that it was a real rapper. I don't know, but I for some reason in my head I'm like I don't know. I thought it was, and now I can't remember, but I'm not going to Google it and waste our time. The gist of it is that guy starts popping off at the mouth and then he knocks the dude out. I think it's a little contrived. Especially that it basically boils down to him saying, "Hey, sorry, I acted like a friggin' moron at your gig.
Mm-hmm.
And it made you look like a damn fool, made a fool out of myself. Now forgive me because I was acting up because Rocky has cancer." That was a little contrived.
A little much.
It was a little much. I would have liked to have seen it be something a little bit more real world, something a little bit more, something a little less toxic, quite frankly, that, and it's a movie thing where the main character does something that is very immature, very selfish, very toxic, causes a conflict themselves, which then they do like one moment of like mea culpa to explain acting erratically, and then it's just forgiven immediately after.
Well, it wasn't immediate.
It wasn't immediate.
Rocky did have to ask her to come after presumably some time between the two of them. And then, they get back together, hunky-dory, whatever. It's just, I think that's one of the only things I didn't like about the movie. It's not even that I didn't hate it, but I was just like, oh, okay, this is where we're going with it. And then like the scene where he's yelling at Rocky in the jail cell. It's just also like, I feel like tacked on to that moment of like toxicity, acting immaturely, and like sure he's probably is in his early to mid 20s. I would think, but I don't know, man. That's a tough one. It's like we need a conflict here in this third act. All right, well we'll just do that. And it's like it doesn't like
it just feels really contrived. It's not enough
yeah.
to ruin the movie or anything
No,
like
not
that.
by any means. It's just frustrating after you see like how much thought they put into like the really small little moments, and then like there's a good 5-6 minute portion of the movie where like there's kind of like some tomfoolery going on.
Yeah, I didn't need it. It was fine without the silly, oh, we're gonna break up. But
Mhm.
that's on a very short list of faults with the movie.
Very short.
Another fault I have, and yeah, this is gonna come from Mr. Star Wars sequels is my favorite trilogy. I have an explanation for every stupid thing that happens in Star Wars. So I realize I'm about to sound like a hypocrite when I say this. I don't like that the ending felt exactly like Rocky 1. Like I said, like I'm pointing out my own hypocrisy now because yes, I like The Force Awakens. That said, I don't like the fact that there's still that like weird sense of like the real victory is the friends we made along the way. You prove to yourself that you can do it. I really, really, I get that the point is learning that with every defeat is a victory unto itself because you had to be there to lose in the first place. Like I get why they had Adonis lose.
Mhm.
That makes sense to me. I understand that decision. However, for me, I feel like I would have been a little bit more fulfilled. Like not that I wasn't fulfilled by the ending, but me personally, like I said, this is a complete me opinion thing. I don't think the movie is at fault for this. This me personally, I think Adonis winning that fight just would have felt better. Now, granted, this movie does not exist in a vacuum, and it exists along with its sequel. So, if what they were going for, and the plan was, he's going to lose his first fight, his first huge fight, but like the commentators even say it, had the fight gone on for 10 more seconds, he would have put,
He would have
TN
won.
boy to sleep. So, if the whole point is he was this close to putting a champ down, well, now you're going to fight against the next generation of Drago. And that's his first big win is taking out Ivan Drago's kid. Okay. I will suspend my maybe this would have worked for me better until I see Creed 2. However, for me in the now, I just really would have liked to have seen that resilience pay off.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have seen and again, not that it doesn't pay off. It pays off insofar as he learns that he can do it.
Yeah.
And the whole world goes, "Oh, you aren't just Apollo Creed's love baby. You're his heir."
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that.
And again, another Star Wars comparison, I think it's funny that Creed handled the idea of like who's your family, but who's really your family.
Mm-hmm.
Better than the Rise of Skywalker, but that's a conversation for a different day.
It's a dangerous conversation.
Don't get me started. I'm getting myself started, but I think I don't know. I think I would have liked him winning better, but that doesn't change the fact that again, I implore you to subscribe to the $5 tier of the Patreon for no other reason than to just listen to the ending fight portion of the audio commentary and the fact that I was literally jumping up and I was screaming. I was afraid I blew out a microphone for a second. but it was just that my headphone came unplugged because I was moving around too much and jerking around. Um, so well choreographed. I felt every hit. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely
man.
phenomenal.
Right there with you. It was awesome to watch. It's awesome to like feel. You know, there's something really okay. Did I like the moment where Adonis is like flat on the ground, basically just got knocked the fuck out, and then all of a sudden, like the flashbacks to like different parts of the movie and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden he just like possessed by something and stands up. No, I actually really disliked that part of it. It was very ugh. If there's one part of the movie that just felt insincere and tacky, that did not work for me. It's very opinionated, I get it, but it did not work for me. But as
It
far
felt
as
like
like
tease, and that's why I liked it. But I get it. I like when stuff goes for that really earnest horse shit. Like when it isn't in earnest is when it doesn't work for me. That felt completely earnest, at least for me. And it was like, no, he's got to remember. He's got to remember. This is the same franchise that has the remarkably like corny. It doesn't matter how hard you can hit. It matters how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. I don't know why Rocky sounded a little Bernie at the beginning there, but he did. Um, like this whole franchise is built on like keep on fighting platitudes. So the fact that he literally is like woken back up by like the image of
mhm.
Apollo Creed fighting it was the perfect amount of corniness for me, but I 100% get why it didn't work for you.
I don't know, something little nitpicky. But as far as like the ending of the movie goes, like I appreciated the route that they took. Like the personal victories were enough for me. Um, I was satisfied because at the end of the day, he was self-taught, fighting down in Tijuana, and then had like one or two exhibitions before like the big fight, like his big huge reveal, and for him to last as long as he did, like I do think that that was enough to like say, okay, you are the heir, you are Apollo Creed's heir. Like that works for me. I'm not upset that he didn't lose the fight, and I enjoyed the ending of this movie. It felt, like a dot dot dot, like what's gonna happen, and then also just like a if this was to stand alone, I feel like I could find peace in that as well. Real quick, you said something in the audio commentary. It was right whenever Tessa Thompson's character, I'm totally blanking on her name. She says she's telling him about his progressive hearing loss. And you said that there was like a similarity between the two of them. And it was related to the progressive hearing loss. I don't remember what it was.
Character's name. I just looked it up. Um, yeah, no, I think that it's really interesting because they keep bringing it up with Adonis. Um, and again, because you have his mother, or Apollo's wife, um, whom is his adopted mother, and I like that. I also like that we avoided the trope of like hating the other woman's baby
Yeah,
a lot. I like that it was like I need to take care of this kid, like I have a responsibility because I can, and um, it's very interesting how they portrayal or how they handle Apollo's infidelity. But that's what we're talking about right now. I Everybody brings up to him that for him to follow down this path, he is signing up for an art that will slowly break his body.
that's what it was. I couldn't remember what the angle was.
Yeah, so while he is doing something that is going to act, his choice is to slowly destroy his body, while hers is slowly destroying itself. So like it's I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but it was basically that both of them are people who are in a part of a profession that cannot last forever. Eventually, she will lose the ability to hear the art that she makes, and he will no longer be able to take part in the martial art he is a part of, because eventually his body will not be able to keep taking in and doling out that punishment. And I thought it was very, I felt like it had to have been a parallel, like that was intentional, that like that both of them are people who are going to be victims of what they do. Bianca less so, because she did not choose for her hearing to go away. But yeah.
What haven't we talked about yet? The villain antagonist.
Yeah. I'm trying to get to his name here. Pretty Ricky.
Yeah, Pretty Ricky. It worked for me. I didn't have like a great emotional attachment. I wasn't thinking, I don't know, it didn't blow me away. It wasn't like a 10 out of 10 as far as villains go. But like as far as his motivations, like getting caught carrying and like going to jail, he needs to make money before he goes to jail. He needs a fight. He needs a big money maker. And the only one that's really left is Creed. They want him to use his name to like hype up the fight so they can charge more for the fight. They can make more for the fight. I get it. And then also just fighting for that, like, I'm going to jail. How do I want to be remembered? And also already thinking like I'm one of the greatest boxers. It just, I don't know. It just worked. As much as I'm not.
I thought he was interesting as a villain in quotation marks. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like Clubber Lang from 3, where it's, like hella bombastic, Mr. T. They could have, I like that he's a little bit more complex. Not only is he, this Conor McGregor style WWE heel showman, where it's like the really foul-mouthed, press conference, false creed,
mm-hmm.
Game you never got to meet your dad, I'll make sure you get to by the end of our fight, kind of shit, which like the amount of people who all made jokes about, hey, I'll go make sure you go get to meet your dad now. But I like on top of that you have his manager going, hey, fucko, you have kids to feed. How about we act like a grown-up for 5 minutes? So I like that it was not that part of his character was that he was flawed, that he's just as flawed of a person as Apollo is or Adonis is. And that, like, not that I need to see a movie about Pretty Ricky, but I feel like you could tell a almost as interesting story about Pretty Ricky as you can about Adonis Creed.
Yeah. I think you can tell an interesting story about him. I don't know if it would be as interesting. Well, I don't know. It also depends. But I think being able to just make the two statements that we just did means that he was a good villain, a good antagonist.
Oh, absolutely. Was he Arliss Loveless?
No. Oh, that's a feat.
We set a high bar very early on with corny villains in movies. But no, there's very little in this movie that did not work for me. All the way, like up to and including the chemistry between Michael B. Jordan and
Stallone or Tessa?
Tessa Thompson. I mean, both of them. But romantically between Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan, that just worked. It worked, and it worked hard. Just the way, just like the this is a John, you're a John, this table is a John, I'm a John, this ketchup is a John. That scene in particular, it was so precious. It was so cute.
Yeah.
I love that. Michael B. Jordan continues the habit of getting his nasty on while a family member is
Very
exactly
nearby.
away, very nearby at any moment. Again, I wanted so badly, like the dry humor that they give to Rocky. Like I just wanted so badly for him to walk in on Adonis and Bianca buck ass naked, like right in front of a picture of his wife. Maybe even a photo of Apollo's up there too. Just welcome. Just if you guys could not fuck on my couch.
Hey, Donnie, you think you guys could take this upstairs next time?
That's exactly how he'd say it too. Like I love that this Rocky is just so small. Like he doesn't have like it's. I don't want to say he doesn't have fight in him anymore. The whole point is like the reverse hero's journey always has it. Is him finding that thing again. You know, for Luke Skywalker, it's finding his faith in the Force and the Jedi again. For Peter B. Parker, it's remembering what great power and great responsibility are. For Rocky, it's finding his fight again, not necessarily in the ring, literally, but remembering what it means to be the consummate fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But he does it in such a cute and wholesome way that like I love that Rocky Balboa is probably like my favorite fictional unproblematic old man.
It's everybody's grandpa.
Unproblematic favorite old man where he's just again like that's exactly how I think he would have handled it. Just, do you guys think you could not boat on my couch? I'd appreciate it. Do you want me to make you a meatball hoagie? Like
In the cloud. What cloud?
Yeah.
What's a cloud?
And like you can see that joke coming from like 3 miles away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the way that Stallone in that like awkward, he doesn't even feel like he's supposed to be in the same room kind of way. Like he doesn't even look up. His whole body tilts back.
Yep.
He goes, "Oh, like he's like Rocky is just so adorably oafish. Like he
I think he can present himself as oafish.
I don't know the word for it. I don't know. He's a retired himbo.
There's a lot of naivety around him.
Yeah.
Just innocence. Just I don't know, man.
This movie proved to me how much Rocky and Goku would get along. Because they're just nice idiots who like to punch shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like total golden retriever boys. Oh, this is phenomenal. And I keep saying the fights. I don't I can't think of words to put to that very specific no, robot, I was not summoning you. I can't even think of words to put to it. Right? Like I know I say this a lot and I'm not even saying it like it's like the commercial bit to it. Listen to the audio commentaries because the only way I can describe the fights was my reaction watching them.
Beautiful, oftentimes very, very minimal amount of cuts, if not a one shot entirely. You go inside the ring, outside the ring, you hear and feel every like punch, uppercut, bodies hitting the floor, spit and blood leaving someone's mouth. It's just so immersive. And I feel like we haven't gotten that level of immersiveness before. I think it's really just like a feat of cinematography. Like, and to do that in a boxing movie like this is, I think, why, the movie did really well. Like the feel and the environment and just how they created the fights is worth the price of your ticket admission alone.
I agree. because like they know the audience is coming mostly for the fights.
Yeah.
So they killed that part.
No, I totally agree.
A couple other bits I want to mention, and Devin, I just realized we did not do our like budget and box office bit up top.
Well, I got him here for you.
While you do that, I also want to call attention to the fact that Adonis's team is a group of like actual boxing people.
Like in real life?
Yeah. Stitch is an actual cut man.
Were any of them in previous Rocky movies?
Yes, I'm looking right now. Stitch is in Rocky Balboa, which is the one that came out in 2006.
I mean, just more examples of doing your homework, putting thought into it, authenticating it, more immersiveness for the audience.
It also looks like Ludwig Göransson has a cameo in Bianca's band, which
Ooh.
I have no idea how we missed that long-haired, majestic bastard, but somehow we did.
Shit, now I kind of want to go back and look, but
just for Ludwig. But yeah, you would talk about some budget and
yeah, real simple. The budget of the movie was $35 million. Domestically, it made $109.8 million. Worldwide in other countries, we got 63.8, bringing the grand total to $173.6 million. Studio secured $132 million in profits. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Wow. As far as like blockbuster pictures like this go,
is it
by comparison, that's kind of a small budget.
I think it's a small budget, and as far as when did this come out? 2016, 2015?
Something like that sounds right. I don't want the cast. 2015, yeah.
Do you have a release date?
Trying to get to that. November 25, 2015. But hey, coming back to the sequel trilogy joke I made earlier, this came out almost exactly a month before The Force Awakens. So do with that what you will.
You know what, then? That's kind of tough. Knowing what other blockbuster movies brought in that year, this is a Thanksgiving movie. For the budget, it's a huge win. I feel like this movie could have done like upper 200s. And maybe, I don't know. I don't know what was missing. Maybe marketing or general just perception of it. But this movie feels like it could have brought in more. But that by any means doesn't decide if it's a good movie or not. I think Creed's a great movie. I think Creed's a really good movie. Solid film.
I agree. And on the whole, as far as popular movies in 2015, we got another boxing movie. Southpaw came out in 2015. The Martian, The Visit, Hateful Eight, which even though I am a Tarantino fan, I've never actually gotten around to seeing The Hateful Eight. The Revenant, The Crew, The Heart of the Sea. What else we got? The Man from U.N.C.L.E. came out. Oh my God, Fan Four Stick came out in 2015. Are you shitting me?
I don't want to talk about
it. Wait, which Bond movie was that? Yeah, Spectre. That's another segment we should do is movies that came out in that year. We got Age of Ultron, Creed, obviously, Sicario, Force Awakens. Surrounded by a handful of really good movies.
Really, really good movies.
Yeah.
Damn, 2015.
And then
We're so thick.
So thick. Dummy thick year it was.
Got like 3 C's on there. Shit.
3 C's on there. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching Creed 2.
I think you're gonna like it.
I am like really like kind of fighting the urge to just watch it tonight. You know what I mean? Oh, speaking of other movies we're watching, at some point expect a bonus episode of us reviewing Judas and the Black Messiah. I don't know if you've watched it yet or not, Devin.
I have not.
Oh,
I
my
have
God.
not.
It is so good. I need very badly to go back and rewatch it because I did get a little sleepy during the third act, and that is not a slight against this movie. It is a slight against the fact that I was very comfortable. I have a bad habit of getting super comfy and
It ruins everything.
Yeah, I get it happens every time. Like I have a silent conversation and stuff where I'm like, oh man, I just feel like I'm on a fucking cloud. I'm not going to be conscious for very long after this. Like my room was the perfect temperature. I had like just the appropriate amount of like layers on, where I had like the perfect sweats and the perfect hoodie, and the pillows were the right amount of fluffy, and the comforter was too comfortery, and I was like, shit, I'm about to pass out. And I awoke to the sound of gunshots on my TV because I was only like 5 minutes, but was like in and out the whole time. So I have to rewatch it. But that again, that has nothing to do with that movie. That is 100% me and me having a bad habit of watching really good content and really good art while I'm already sleepy.
It's all right, man. You know, these things happen.
Yeah, so assuming there's nothing like terrible in the couple minutes that I missed whenever I started nodding off in the third act, phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. And Lakeith Stanfield continues to prove that man belongs in more movies. Devin, you have any final thoughts here for Creed?
Do you mean before we give it a final rating or just as a final rating?
Yeah, final thoughts into your letter grade.
Final thoughts, beyond entertaining. When I say immersive in these fights, I like probably my favorite fight sequences I've seen in a boxing movie. Just gorgeous. Nostalgia with Rocky was sick. Michael B. Jordan's a win. Tessa Thompson's a win. The relationships between these characters and the characters that get less screen time also work for me. Probably like 2 or 3 moments of nitpicking throughout the whole movie that I was not a fan of, but again, not movie ruining to any degree. And so with that being said, I'm going to give Creed, it's somewhere between an A- and a B+ right now. It's somewhere, I think I'm going to go with the A- for Creed. The minus is really just, you know what? Damn. No, I'm going to go with my gut. It's going to be an A- for me on Creed. Excellent movie. Jarod, concluding thoughts and rating.
I want to go off of what something you just said with the nostalgia. I didn't know I was capable of producing nostalgia for a friggin' Rocky reboot. You know?
Yeah, it's not
the
like
closest I come to loving Rocky is, like I said earlier, ironically loving Rocky 4. Other than that, like I'm not super invested into the Rocky franchise, you know?
No, and like I'm not either. It's just the moment of like the running sequences and like the staircase and like that last time that Adonis is in the corner for the last fight before the last round, and like he and Rocky have their exchange, and then that original Rocky theme plays just for like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It literally might have played for maybe 6-7 seconds before like switching into like the fight music, or like not really fight music, but like the fighting sounds, like that kind of sound production versus the theme. Like those little things were just enough for me, man. Like the chasing the chicken, the one arm push ups, the training styles, like it was enough for me to just feel uplifted. And like, it's just a great, I think they handled that very well.
I
But
agree.
please
I think
continue.
no, you hit it on the head for me. And that moment, that one, like that Rocky leitmotif with that music, just I again go listen to the audio commentary because I went ape shit. I went completely ape shit. And again, ironically, I was break you. Like I love Rocky 4, but I'm over here like, yeah,
Yeah,
come
let's
up.
go. Like it gets you juice, it gets you amped, which
I
makes
said, I
you,
was like, I just want to go fight somebody right
yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how many assault and battery charges that somebody watching a Rocky movie caused. Like how many times somebody came
Oh,
out of the theater and then was just like heard the music in their head and just mollywopped some son of a bitch in the face.
yep.
But yeah, this is really good. It made me love a franchise I thought I could only ironically like it best. So yeah, I think I'm in A- range as well for Creed.
Hell yeah.
With that, we are going to be rounding out Black History Month very soon. Due to some scheduling conflicts, February basically ended up being all movie club and no campus life. So once we get past Black Panther, we're going to be back on the warpath with movie club. Might also be playing around with the release schedule for movie club. Might be dropping them in a weird order, depending on if we're doing months. Something like Black History Month. I don't want to. I want to make sure that it gets filled to it gets finished,
Mm-hmm.
as it should be. There might be some weird uploading shenanigans in March because I kind of want to make sure we get through all the Snyder stuff as well. Mostly make sure we have at least everything leading up to a Snyder cut review. So keep your eyes out for that. Keep your eyes out for Judas and the Black Messiah review. Um, we'll be rounding things out with Black Panther. That should be coming out next week. Yeah, I
I think
think
that's
that.
it.
Yeah. And that's all the housekeeping I have to do right now. Devin, if you could please tell the lovely people where they can find you.
Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Devin J. Armel, or you can follow me on Twitter at DevinArmel45.
That they can.
Jarod, how about yourself?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, the Waffle Wizard, Kason Breon, Delta 9, and Zach Canals. You guys help us produce the content we love to make. If you are so interested, and I'm going to plug it for the 1800th time, you can check out our $5 tier where you get access to the audio commentary tie-ins for this show, so you can actually be a part of the Nerd Academy Movie Club. You also check out our Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series, where at the time of this recording, we are going to be recording that episode on Saturday. It's going to be Darth Malgus versus Kyle Katarn. Very excited to record that one. We have Heroic History 101. Travis and I are going to be talking about the first volume of Sam Wilson Captain America again for Black History Month, and to tie in with the release of Falcon and the Winter Soldier in March. We got lots of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. I don't want to spoil it quite yet, but we may or may not have a very interesting interview coming y'all's way on the number one contender, where we may or may not be speaking with a Schmodown competitor who may or may not have competed in this last Friday's big opening matches for season 8. So stay tuned for that. We got lots of fun stuff coming up for Knights of the Nerd Republic, keeping up with the High Republic stories. Obviously, we'll be covering one division on Nerd Academy. See, we knew what we were talking about. I'm not going to spoil anything on Movie Club, but
Good stuff.
we've been calling it. We've been
Mhm.
calling. We knew what we were talking about all along, even though I may or may not have made up character names along the way. Devin, are you aware of the fact that I like low key imagined that Monica Rambeau's name in the comics was Quasar?
No, I did not know this.
Yes.
Quasar?
So whom is okay? So fun story. If you haven't been, for anybody who hasn't been listening to the main show, whenever we were talking about Monica Rambeau and potential for what could happen with her later in the season, I accidentally said that she also goes by the moniker of Quasar in the comics and went to explain her power set and all of that stuff and how she may or may not get it by the end of the season. Clearly, I was right about the powers. But I accidentally kept calling her Quasar for about 3 weeks. It occurred to me that I was like, nope, I made that up. I made that up and convinced myself that I made the name Quasar up. Until we had Mitch from Comic Book Cast on the main show, who promptly told me that I was close because there is a character named Quasar who has worked with Monica Rambeau and is kind of in that circle of Cosmic Marvel heroes.
Cosmic powers, yeah.
And also he was like, and you get a pass because Monica has changed her name like 30 times in 10 years. So I got a pass from our buddies over at Comic Book Cast. So yeah.
Just to be clear, you're calling her Photon now.
So she's Photon currently.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Oh, I thought you were asking I thought you were saying right now in the comics. I was saying Spectrum.
Oh, no, I was saying just like on the show, she is now being referred to as Photon.
Okay, so that's the name we're going with. Let's see.
Or you could stick with Quasar. Like,
yeah. It was funny because whenever we moved into WandaVision talk, Mitch was like, so we're talking about Quasar, right? And I was like, dude, listen, I already talked my own balls about it. But yeah, so stay tuned for all of that. Also, we don't have anything 100% pinned down yet, but odds are for the Snyder Cut, we are going to be working with Comic Book Cast again. So expect a lot of collabs on both sides for the Snyder Cut stuff because, oh boy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It is going to be a hoot. Anyway, that is enough of me endlessly plugging the other shows. Be sure to check out the student store on the website where you can get all manner of Nerd Academy merch. With that, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next time for our review of Black Panther.
Ooh.